if you've got a low credit score, or you have, depending on what your credit score is, there are different types of mortgages that are available. So, for example, if you've got maybe CCJ, but they're less than 36 months, there's mortgage available. So there are ones. So if anyone's got any questions, please put it in the chat. Please feel free to share and let other people know that that I've come on. Right, someone right, so I did get a question earlier today about right to buy, and this person after the 20th of November. Now, unfortunately, as far as I know, and I would love people to put in the chat if this isn't the case, I would love this not to be the case, but can some people tell me, basically, as far as I know, that once you have put the once the time has gone, then you don't get the discount anymore. So you can still apply to a right to buy, but the discount is now the new discount, not the old discount. And I don't know if some people, because they haven't heard back yet and because there's a bit of a backlog, they can convince the council to give them, to work off the original one, because there are some people that still haven't heard back yet. So if you could let me know what is happening if people apply after the 21st of November onwards, what kind of discounts are they being offered? I mean, if you could ring, if you've spoken to the council and found out what they're saying, what are they saying? That would be a really, really interesting one. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is money saving tips, really. So the first one I wanted to talk about is stamp duty deadline. So the stamp duty deadline, as long as you complete your purchase by the 1st of April, then that's when it changes. So you've got to complete by the 31st of March in order to save from the stamp duty. So I'll give an example. If you're buying a property that's worth 425,000 at this point in time, 425,000 exemption, so you would not have to pay any stamp duty the 31st of March. If from the 1st of you bought the exact same property, or there was a delay in completion of that property, ended up completing either the 1st of April or after the 6,250,000, so that isn't good. Now, the one tip, which is what worked for me, is on the day I got paid every single month, on that day, I would pay myself first. So what I mean by that is I would set up a standing order, and actually it was 2/3 of my salary, but everybody's different. Whatever you can afford would go into a savings account. And that's how I was able to save up my deposit for my first property. There are things like LISAs, lifetime ISAs. First-time buyers can use those, and you benefit from 25% government bonus, and you can save up to £1,000 a year. So if you think it's gonna take you quite a while to save, then you can do that. The other thing is, and this person didn't know about this, so I'm putting it out there so mortgage offers do have deadlines. So as soon as you get your mortgage offer, it could last for 3 months, it could last for 6 months. If you're in a chain, which means the property you're buying, the person selling it to you is also buying, and the person selling it to them is also buying, those are the links of the chain, and that's a chain. Now you need to be on top of your conveyancer solicitor and make them aware when the mortgage offer expires, so you can actually crack on and get that done. So I hope that helps. Right, I have got a few questions now, so let me see. Right, so thank you everybody for joining. I do appreciate it. Right, the discount is reduced as from 16. Yeah, sorry, half reading it. Yeah, as far as I know, if you apply up until the 20th of November, it's 136,400 for London and 102,400 for outside of London. If it's the 21st of November onwards, it ranges. I think the most you can get in some places is 38,000 and the least you can get is 16,000. There are some places in London that have reduced as much as 16,000. So that's basically 120,000 that's been lost out on. I It's always worth a try. I would appeal it with the council and say, you know, there are some people that applied on the 20th and they still haven't heard back. Can I be put in that pile? Who knows? Don't ask, you don't get in this world, right? So the next one is it good to open a business bank account on your property? Right. So basically, if you're setting up a limited company, special purpose vehicle to buy property, the business bank account on property, is that just so it's a limited company and the rental income and that kind of stuff? Is that what you mean? Then I would agree with you, definitely. Right. So someone has said they've just had their first meeting and they're saying it normally takes 6 months. Uh, yeah, maybe in Swindon it does. I mean, I've never seen it take that long. That is a bit of a concern. But yeah, this is unprecedented, the amount of people that have applied. So yeah, you need to keep an eye on things. But hopefully your properties are under the 300,000 threshold. So even if, you know, you complete after the 1st of April, you're still okay for stamp duty purposes. Wondering if there were any loopholes to get prior to discount. Not that I'm aware of, unfortunately. Um, the council want my mortgage in principle before they give me an offer. Yeah, a couple of people have said that. By all means, DM me and I can help you do a mortgage in principle. So basically, for a mortgage in principle, you need to check with a lender that will give you the affordability, and you also need to check with a lender that will give you a soft search. I wouldn't even care about the rate. The soft search is the important bit, because when you actually get the offer, you will resource. So you'll re-look at all mortgages and see what the best deal is. I actually, speaking of deal, I did have a DM from someone the other day and they said, I can get this rate. Can you do better, basically? And what I had to say to them is, I could get the rate that they're quoting, but I wouldn't actually offer that to the client. It may be the lowest rate, but the fees that you're having to pay in order to cover that rate isn't worth it. So sometimes when you are looking at a mortgage, if you don't want to use a mortgage advisor and you want to do it yourself, the one thing I would say, please, please, please look at the whole deal. So what I mean by that is it fixed or variable rate? Is it a discount rate? I've been in situations before where clients have kind of gone to me and they've said, oh, we've done it all by ourselves. And it was a discounted rate. So basically, they're in a 5-year fixed. For the first 2 years, the rate is amazing, out the park. But the next 3 years, it's not. But because it's a 5-year fix, you have to stay with that lender. So make sure it's not one of those sneaky discounted rates. Fixed rate, you obviously know what it's going to be every month. So that's always a good one to have. When you're actually looking at the interest rate, is that the interest rate for the whole entire period? How much is that costing you? So sometimes I've seen it as bad as £7,000 booking fee in order to book this amazing rate. It's not worth it. So have a look. Does it include free legal? Does it include free valuation? What does it include? Make sure you assess the whole of the deal. Is it for 2 years? Is it for 5 years? What works best for you? Will it actually work on your affordability? It's all very well said, oh, I found this great rate, but will it actually work for you? I've seen other great rates, and then you go further down and it says it's got to be a green mortgage, which means it's either got to have an EPC of A or B, or it might be EPC of A, B, or C. And EPC is the energy performance certificate. So that is, you know, have you got double glazing? Have you got insulation? You know, how environmentally friendly is your property? So the next one is they are pretty much saying 10 months if everyone else is in the same situation. Yeah, I mean, by all means, put comments in the chat how long people think it's taken. I mean, at the moment, I'm doing mortgages, right to buy mortgages based on people who applied before the November scenario, and they've only just heard back. People that heard the rumors in sort of September, October time, and they've heard back. Obviously they didn't have that backlog at that point in time. You can't, sorry, bear with. Oh, okay, I better speed up. Right, if you have a right to buy, can you buy a second property later on? Yeah, it does depend. I mean, basically, if you have a right to buy and you're going to live in it, you can buy a buy to let, as long as you're out the pre-exempt period and other things like that. So first time buyer on one independent of 2 loans. Do I have a chance? By all means, please DM me, because when you're a first time buyer, you've said what you earn, you've said you've got 1 dependent, you've got 2 loans that you're paying off. The chances are, yeah, you might, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to get a mortgage, but I don't know how much you'd be able to borrow, because I need to look at the whole thing as a package. So DM me and I can work out your affordability and I'll happily help you. That's not a problem. Had our right to buy accepted pre-November 21, still waiting for offer. It's now been 12 weeks. Is there a form? Yes. So if you should have already heard back, then you put in an RTB6 saying it's the notification of delays, and they have to come back to you with an RTB7, but they could come back to you with something as little as we haven't organized the valuation yet, we've got a huge waiting list. They just need to get back to you with something, some kind of acknowledgement. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the offer within 12 weeks. It just has to, they just have to acknowledge the RTB1, just so you're aware. Okay, a lot of people think they have to have the offer in that time, but some councils are coming back with saying, no, we don't need to have given you the offer, we just need to confirm that we've received it, and that it was in the date we've received it and when we received it. Can I send? If you want to send them the form, it could speed them up. Not necessarily, though. They may just respond to say, yes, we've received the form. It may not have speed up the offer, but you can definitely dispute it. It's always worth it, right? My property is 500,000. I get 16k discount. Do you think I can get 50k for a deposit? Could be approved. Right. Normally speaking, some properties are saying that they want a 10% deposit. Some are saying a 15. If your discount is only 16,000, then you're going to have to put some money on top. But by all means, we can look at that. I will need to understand the whole of your affordability before I can tell you what a lender would offer you. Do you think it is better to mortgage straight from the bank or a broker, etc., etc.? I would always say a broker, because I'm a mortgage advisor. If you go directly to your bank, you're literally just looking at one lender, where I can look at the whole of the market, all the high street and everything else. The other thing is, I mean, I myself, the very first time I bought back, when I was 22, I did just go to the bank that I had my current account with, but I wish I'd known about mortgage advisors, because at the end of the day, they can offer you so much more choice, and depending on criteria, sometimes it does work better. So that's what I would suggest. I have a mortgage and I've just split up with my partner due to I have a mortgage and just split up with my partner. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm due a remortgage in June. All right. So the way it would work is it depends on what agreement you have. So basically, if you've bought as joint tenancy or tenants in common, that can make a difference. If your partner is saying to you that they don't actually want any part of the property, then again, that can make a big difference. If they do want to be bought out, then you need to look at that. Now, I've done a few mortgages like this, and basically what a couple of scenarios: you're either wait till June, sell the property and split it, or you can work out get the lender to work out the affordability and see if you can go on by yourself, and maybe possibly do additional borrowing in order to buy your partner out. It depends what you want to do, but there are things. Do you always need bank statements if it's a gifted deposit you are getting? Yeah, you'll need, they like to see where the source is from, so you'll need bank statements from the perspective of to prove your earnings and things like that. Depending on how much of the gifted deposit is, sometimes they actually want to see their bank statements to confirm the source of where their money came from, because of money laundering and things like that. There's a lot of fraud nowadays, and using mortgages to clean money is a really big thing. So that's something to be aware of. Okay. Right. Okay. So I've been declined a mortgage because I've only worked 4 months, but my husband's worked for years. It really does depend on the lender. Different lenders have different criteria, and you need to pick a criteria. You need to pick the right lender that has the right criteria for you. Again, please feel free to DM me. I'll be more than happy to sort of go through it with you and help you. First time buyers. Yeah, someone's mentioning rates again. I try not to comment on the actual rates and lenders, because I don't know your whole history. So I don't want to stand here and say, yeah, go for this rate, go for that rate. Depending on your affordability, that may not be the right rate for you. Depending on your credit profile, that rate may not ever be offered to you. So I would really need to check out your affordability and everything else in order to confirm that. When moving, can you use equity in your home to pay off loans to improve your affordability? When moving, can you use the equity in your home to pay off loans to improve your affordability? Right. So you're being considered as a home mover. If you actually use your equity, you are actually increasing your mortgage balance. So then it not really improving your affordability. So I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that, because as far as, yeah, I need to understand. I mean, a lot of people do debt consolidation as part of their mortgage and that kind of stuff. And then if you're moving that mortgage or porting that mortgage onto another property, then it hasn't really helped with the affordability, because you've just moved the debt from one place to another. I hope that makes sense. If my yearly bonus, payment is on my payslip with mortgage advisor, accept that. Right. So basically with that, they normally ask for the P60 as well, and they like to see, some lenders like to see proof that the annual bonus has been paid at least twice before they accept it. So that's something to consider. What will happen if the equity out of my home and bought another? Could I leave my son? By all means, DM me. But what I think you're saying is, what you can do is, if you've bought a property and equity, what I mean by equity is that there's a difference between what your property is worth and what your mortgage balance is. The difference there is the equity. Now, if you want to borrow additional borrowing for investment purposes, then you can do that. You can borrow additional borrowing if you want to gift it to someone to buy another property. You can also do that, but it does again, it always depends on the lender. That's why it's good to have a mortgage advisor, because they can tell you which lender will allow you to do what. How long does it typically take for the lender to get back to you with approval? Well, when I do people's mortgages, I've had it get offered within a couple of hours. and then I've had it take a couple of weeks. So the one that was in the couple of hours, the difference between that was the valuation. They did a desktop valuation, i.e. they just checked it out on the computer. That is what it's worth. When the one that took, I think it was 14 days in total, they asked for additional documentation. They had to book the valuer in for them to turn up. So all of those do tend to take time. How long does it typically take? Yeah. As a first time buyer, can my help to buy money? Yeah, I mean, some of the help to buy money is still, if you've got the account, you've had it for a while, and you've got the bonus, then I need to check with the lender which one's going to work. But yeah, the actual money can, whether you get the bonus or not, I need to double check that, because some lenders are different to others. Okay, I think that is that for now. I'll just yeah, as I keep on saying, I don't really like to comment on rates, because there is, like, if it's a buy to let, then the rate is determined by whether you're a lower rate or higher rate taxpayer, and it also is determined by your credit history, and it's also determined by rental income. So I'd rather talk to you and ask you personal questions about yourself, so I can assess it properly and give you an accurate comment, rather than just generally sort of say, yeah, that's a good rate. Is it better to wait until the offer is received before contacting you for the mortgage? To be honest, no. I'm working with people that have put in the RTB1 because they want to improve their credit and make sure, get themselves mortgage ready. If you've got the offer and then we're getting you mortgage ready, we've got a limited amount of time to do work. I want to thank you all. As I said before, you have got, there's the YouTube channel, which is also called the same name, and that has the full recording. The TikTok live will have, I will put some highlights a little bit later. If you're not following me on TikTok, please follow me. If you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, please feel free to do that, and that will help grow my channel, so I can carry on giving you guys all of this advice that I like to give you. So everybody, have a good evening. It's going to be a short one tonight, but I will come on again tomorrow. All right then, take care. Good night.